All right, it's Ethan Musolini, the Merchant of Success. Welcome once again. And today's topic, we are looking at habits of genius 2.0. And we are really exploring what are those habits that we can practice more of that. Because the truth of the matter is, I believe that we are all geniuses in our own right. The question is, what sort of habits are we practicing? So that's why we are saying, we're not talking about how to become a genius, we're about what are those habits that geniuses practice so that you can enhance your genius self. And talking about which, is for us who are attending live, please go ahead and type the word genius if you believe that you have some genius inside you. Please go ahead and type the word genius if you believe that you have some genius, that that before you were born there was a code of genius impressed upon you somehow, somewhere, whatever that is. Great. I'm seeing messages coming through. Let me see those people who believe that they are genius. Yes, I'm seeing Justine, Olabisi, Tohaire, Anita, Godfrey, Nagawa, yeah, Emily, Rebecca, Viola. Yeah, people, I'm seeing so many coming in, typing in genius. And that's my belief. So I'm glad that you believe that. And even if you don't believe that, declare it. Come on, because it's that your tongue creates. In Uganda, there is a saying, "Olulimi lutonzi." So meaning what you declare, you create. Okay. And there's also one of the famous sayings that if you can have it in your head, you have it in your hand. That's what one of my teachers taught me. So let's have it in our head that we are geniuses. And that's not just some motivational rah-rah kind of thought process. No. If you didn't have some kind of form of genius, then I believe you wouldn't be here. All of us are special in our own way. And I typically look at 5 segments in training, in these kinds of sessions, I beg your pardon. So we look at the clarity, what is it and why is it important? We look at the mindsets required. We look at the different strategies that you need to deploy to get things done or to realize that goal, then the skill sets, and of course, then the mastery. Mastery is about you now owning that information. So let's start with the clarity segment about genius. So who is a genius? This is an exceptional natural capacity of intellect, especially as shown in creative and original work in science, art, music, and the like. Okay. And that's we are saying what we declare as genius in the typical world. But then I'll tell you what Ethan's description is. People we consider to have to be genius. People like Mozart, Einstein, Kamkwamba. Okay, I hope who knows who Kamkwamba is, because these are the Mandela, Tesla, Picasso, right? So those are some of the personalities. And then now you can add your name at the bottom also. You can add your name. So just see your name flashing there. And then, because in one way or the other, I strongly believe that indeed we are geniuses in our own way, in one way or the other. You don't have to be a Mozart or a Tesla or whoever it is. You just have to be you and maximize who you are. And then your genius will show up, period. That's how it works. So what is common about these people that I've mentioned? Number one, they are hard workers, meaning they put in the energy, they put in the hours, they put in the time to create these results. They are curious. They are always poking around and checking around. And when you really think about this, when we talk about curiosity, it's something that is always, as I'm thinking about it, I'm taking a deep breath and I will tell you something. Can someone complete, these geniuses are curious indeed. Can someone complete for me the word curiosity did what? Type in the word. What did you hear when you were growing up? That curiosity did what? Type in the chat box. Curiosity did what? Killed the cat. Type exactly. Killed the cat. Killed the cat. Harriet says. Magdalene says, killed the cat. Killed the. Primary says, killed the pussycat. Now, do you see how we kill the very fabric of what genius is? Gosh, I'd never thought about it. It's just flown through me that's the value of praying before these events, because then you get these insights. We have shut down that part, because when you look at children, they create things, they invent things, they say things, and you're like, what? You hold your head, you're like, wow, but you're just 7. But guess what? They are still in curious mode. No one has taught them that idea of curiosity kill the cat. That's something I had. And then now you block off that part of curiosity. Why are you so curious? Why are you? My daughter is always asking questions, and she always wants to know everything that is going around. And I remember one of the family members said, "But do you have to know everything?" And I said, "No, you leave her to be curious. Let's not kill her curiosity seeking, her curiosity energy, because it's very, very important." All these people, they were curious. Meanwhile, for us here, some of us were told that curiosity killed the cat. We should turn it that curiosity liberated the cat. Come on. Yeah, curiosity is what opens up possibilities for the cat. The cat wasn't curious as to where the food could be, then it would die. But curiosity is what liberates the cat, not killed it. Next, they disrupt the normal thinking. So for them, normality is absurdity. I like the sound of that. I used to do poetry when I was at the university. Then I kind of switched off. So sometimes looks like these lines drop in the moment. Think about it. Normality is absurdity. Why should you be normal? Why should everything be normal? Because if normal was great, then we wouldn't have. Did you know that 95% of people, typically on average, it's been discovered that on average, 95% of people, they are not happy, they are not as successful, they are not as successful in different areas of life in terms of health, wealth, and all these aspects. So that's the normal part, that's the average person, that's normality. So geniuses look at disrupting the normal thinking. So as I'm giving you these qualities, you need to think, okay, how can I adopt that mindset or that way of being? The curiosity, the hardworking, disrupting the normal thinking. They are risk takers. Think of any big leader or the person you admire, and I'll show you someone who took risks or who is always taking risks. Show me any person, and I'll show you one who thinks or acts in ways that are risky sometimes. Sometimes we call those people reckless, and those people end up ruling the world. It's true that some of them end up not in a good place. That's true. But on average, you'll find, not on average, typically you'll find geniuses take some risks. They come up with the new music notes. They come up with new ways of doing things, and then we ridicule them. And by the way, typically geniuses, they are ridiculed, they are fought against, and then finally they are accepted. Unfortunately, though, is some of them, then we acknowledge and appreciate their genius once they are gone. Unfortunately, people like Mozart or Beethoven, they weren't as revered as they are now because they were ahead of their times. That's the other dynamic we have to be aware of. So in that there are those, the point I wanted to make is because we consider such thinking or ways of being as reckless, as too much, as out there, then sometimes people recoil back. And I'm here to give you one encouraging thought. And I wanted to share it some time back and it skipped my mind, but it looks like this is the perfect time. Someone made an illustration that stuck with me. He said, look, if a mango tree is barren, no one will hit it with stones. If you see a tree with, and people are throwing stones at it, it means there are some fruits. So as a genius, as you disrupt normal thinking, as you disrupt ways of being, as you take some risks, beware that there will be some stones sometimes. Usually there are stones. In form of ridicule, in form of challenge, in form of abuse, in form of questions, in form of all sorts of things. So just be aware of that. Because, I mean, if you're normal, if you're behaving just like everyone else, then why should stones be thrown at you? Why should you be challenged or questioned? Talking about normal thinking is that they are not into the status quo. They plug into a different matrix. One of my favorite movies is The Matrix, that you have to unplug sometimes. So these are people who unplug from the normal, the status quo, from the matrix, so to speak. So this is very common to them. And so you need to ask yourself, are you the kind that wholly buys into the status quo, or are you the kind who chooses to step aside or to move away from the status quo? So why be a genius? You see, geniuses create and add value to human lives or to humanity. So that's something you have to be aware of. In that, to celebrate, to look out for. Say, okay, as a genius, so this should be an encouragement in that geniuses add value to human lives. They go in, they find ways to maximize their potential and add value in the process. Also, geniuses have made life easier. Look at the internet, movement, communications. I mean, like whoever came up with this platform that we are using right now to be able to do this kind of work, this was, I would imagine this was, I mean, I didn't imagine that we could be doing this kind of work at such mass scale many years ago. But here we are, life being made easier. We are able to connect across the world, across the globe. Lives are being made easier. And so for every, and that's something also to be aware of, in that for every challenge or travesty or tragedy, there are also so many positive things that geniuses of different kinds and in your own way that you're doing, because I'm sure that in your own life, there are those other things that you're doing to make work or life easier, whether it's at the workplace or in your community. It may not be out there in public, but just know that your efforts are not in vain. Also, geniuses are highly sought after. So if you display your genius, then people will start looking for you rather than you marketing yourself. People start talking about you and asking for you. When you deploy your genius, you'll be able to leave a great legacy, where we can say, so-and-so created this, yeah? Let me look through the names, where the legacy could be Nathan's legacy, Willie, Bell, Ben, Abel, Emily, Emmanuel, Oloma, Eureka, Faith, Frida, Gashom, Godfrey, Grace, Harriet, Jacqueline, Janet, Athaire, Jojo, Justine, Louis, Magdalene, Muchibi, Muima, Nasozi, Nomjisha, Olabisi, Patricia, Karunji, Rebecca, Santa Mary Mede, Vivienne, the one using techno. So in that, having had your name, just know that you can choose to leave a great legacy. If you choose to leave your genius, so that we can say, this is the legacy of so-and-so. And legacy is not something that only appears or emerges once you're gone. It is a legacy you can leave behind from your current workplace, from your current neighborhood, from your current friends who are still here with you. All right, so just know that I truly value you investing in yourself, whether you're attending live or watching the recording. And I will tell you, it's never in vain. You know, one of my favorite lines from Stephen Covey said, private victory precedes public victory. So it's the things you do when no one is seeing that will finally show up in public, and people will be like, wow, you are so lucky, look at you. But they don't know the countless hours you spent when people are just hanging out and just, drinking or whatever they think they were doing, and you are learning or sharpening your skill or writing or exercising or all that. So it's the things you do in private, like now when no one is seeing, but finally the world will put you at a pedestal and showcase the fruits of your labor. So the fruits of your labor will show up, that I guarantee you, right? So now let's talk about the mindsets. Let's talk about the genius mindsets. And number one, mistakes are valuable. You see, average people, when they look at mistakes, it's something that they hate, they fight against, and that's something I've been working in different ways and means to encourage my daughter. Like you've had me say before, she's a perfectionist. If she wants something, it has to be in a certain way. When it's a mistake, she feels like, how? I didn't do it right. No way, this. So I've been teaching her, saying, look, mistakes are part of the game. Just learn from it. If you learn from it, it's fine. So mistakes are valuable, and they are valuable. I should add a caveat. They are valuable if you learn from them and think of doing something different later, or do things differently in future. Because if you do a mistake once, that's totally understandable, and then you learn from it, then it becomes valuable. If you do a mistake once, but you don't pause to learn from it and you repeat the same mistake, then, someone might say you're not paying attention, you are inattentive, or someone who chooses to be rough, to be blunt, you say, okay, twice possibly, but 3 times, that's some kind of stupidity that needs to be cleared sooner rather than later. I was looking for a simpler word, but I failed to get one. So that's what I've used. So mistakes are valuable when you use them as your teachers, not tormentors. Because when you look at mistakes as tormentors, then you'll be a tortured spirit. You'll be a tortured human being. When you look at them as your teachers, then it's their wake-up calls for you to become wiser. And that's how geniuses think. They don't crumble under the rubble of mistakes. They use mistakes as stepping stones to go to higher levels of functioning. And that's how you should be. The second mindset is that every experience is a learning experience. So when we say every experience, whether it is a happy one, so you might wonder what's the difference between the two. The other one is just mistakes. Here we are saying every experience, every encounter. So the way I've been putting it over the years is every moment is a teaching moment. Whether I'm interacting with someone, whether I'm bumped into someone, whether I'm looking at children, that is a learning experience. So the whole world is a teaching ground. The whole world is a classroom. So once you start looking at every moment or engagement as a learning experience, as a teaching ground, and everyone as your teacher, everyone as an angel, as a messenger. And by the way, at a spiritual level, I believe in that human beings or experiences don't just happen by accident. There's always a reason for that. And our job is to make sure that we learn from those experiences And we remind ourselves to learn from those experiences, but it takes that awareness, that alertness. You don't just say, oh, it just happened. No, it didn't just happen. Just look at it as a learning experience and you ask yourself, what do I learn from this? What's the magic in this? What's the gifting in this? What is God teaching me in this? What is God showing me in this? How come I have this new job? What's the opportunity in this? So you're thinking learning. And talking about learning, I always encourage people that if you're working somewhere, if you feel that you still have something to learn, please do not run. Because the key thing is that the more you learn, the more you earn down the road. Okay. The other mindset is total commitment. You stay long enough, you love it long enough, you work hard enough, soon it will all work out. I also have to add, the only caveat is, which I've hinted on previously, I believe under purpose, is it has to be commitment towards the right things and the right strategy, the right path. So, for example, if you feel that you're gifted in something, that you feel it is your purpose, it is part of your calling, whatever that is, I believe if you hang around it long enough, then you start getting insights. You'll get distinctions. I'll give you an example. Because of these many series we've been doing, I knew that it had never occurred to me that indeed there is a way to mute participants upon entry. And you know, we kept doing these segments, and for some reason, none of us saw that or figured that out. And Jojo, who I believe is live here, said, oh, by the way, you could, in the settings, make sure that people are muted upon entry. I'm like, duh, how did we miss that? But you see, we got that after like what? After over 20 sessions. So if I had just stopped on session number 2, I would have missed that gift. So thanks again, Jojo. So Jojo is Josephine, yeah, just to be clear. So the key thing is, whatever you're working on, you have to have a certain level of patience. And again, my daughters, they teach me a lot as I also teach them. So yesterday night, my daughter came because at a certain time they're allowed to watch some, you know, they have some channels they like watching on YouTube. So she found me working on my laptop and said, can you enter for me the password? So my phone is protected to make sure that they don't always access it whenever they want to. So typically, I stop and then quickly give them password and all that. But this time around, I was working on an email. I said, you know what, let me finish this email. Let her learn the value of patience also. Then she kept asking, but when are you finishing the email? Because it took a few minutes. It took like 4 minutes, but in her world, I'm sure it felt like 40 minutes. But the point I was passing on, I was hoping to pass on, is for her to learn patience. And I said, you know what? It's good to be patient. And that's the message I told her. I said, it's good to be patient. Please wait. Therefore, I'm encouraging us to learn to be patient. And especially in this world of instant messaging, microwave, you know, it changed the paradigm of results. So the people in the earlier times, they knew, those with the farming mentality knew that things took time. But now, like my daughter, you know, instant messaging, you switch on the internet, it's on, boom, gone. You know, boom, you switch on YouTube, boom, it appears. So there is a generation that feels things have to be now. And there is also value in that, thinking like that. And at the same time, you have to know that there are those things that may not happen now, but if you stay long enough and you believe long enough and you keep working on yourself, then over time things will work out, because it can't be microwave everywhere. It's a process. Is it process by process? Someone was teaching me about that clip of process by process. So the thing is, you have to commit long enough. Edison failed the light bulb, over 10,000 tests. That's total commitment. He stayed long enough. And then he said, genius. Yeah, but that's where the hard work comes in, the mindset. But you have to stay long. Next is growth mindset. You're not fixated on where you are at, but you're always pushing the envelope to grow, to become a better human being. You're thinking of possibilities. You're expanding for what could be and what is feasible. And I know some of us practice most of these segments, and some of us don't. And some of us, there are new things you need to start practicing again, focusing again. I'll tell you this long enough, the total commitment piece. You know, I had been speaking full-time, non-stop until, you know, from September 2003, when I became full-time in this work. But I'll tell you, the framework that was very, very usable for me in terms of structuring messages in a very clear manner, I landed on the framework in 2011, 2012, around 2013. That's when I landed on a framework that really can show anyone to be clear. So 2003 to 2013, 10 years. So it took me 10 years to figure out a framework that anyone can use to be super clear in their messaging. So if I had not stayed long enough, there you go. Curiosity mindsets, they're always curious. They want to know what's going on. Tell me more about this. What do you mean? There are people who go to these great leaders, and when they meet these, the leaders are the ones asking questions. You'd think that they would be just there, the ones lecturing, but usually you find that successful people, they are always asking questions. They are curious. They want to know, how do you do this? How did you come up with this? What's happening? So they are learning. They are always curious. They know that curiosity did not kill the cat. And for them, they know that curiosity fed the cat. They know that curiosity opened up possibilities for the cat. They know that curiosity freed the cat. They know that curiosity made the cat to jump. They know that curiosity is what taught the cat to find the rats. They know that it's curiosity that, you know, made cats valuable in homes. Curiosity. They are always curious. The other mindset is the more. They're always thinking more. What more can I learn from here? What more can I do here? What more can I execute here? What more? So it's not just learning, but it is, in fact, let me add that, because when I'm talking to you, it occurred to me, what more can I learn from here? What more can I learn? What more can I do, get, give? So they have the more mentality. Let me put it that way. More mentality. So you always need to think more. So there's something I was having a conversation with my wife recently, and she said, yeah, but you shouldn't be comfortable with that. Why should you be comfortable with that? In her view, she felt like, look, I have to search for more. I have to dig for more. And I like that. So if we are to maximize our potential and extend who we are, we have to think of more. This is one of my favorites. Geniuses, they help others to excel. The more one does this, the more they succeed. The more you help others, the more you help yourself. There are people who say, why should I help them? Why should I help her? Why should I help? Of course, you're not going to help the whole world. Of course, use your intuition, use your wisdom. But all I know is that we are placed here on planet Earth to be of service, to make this world a better place to live in. Therefore, the question is not holding back. The question is you giving back. Because the more you help others to excel, in a way, you're also excelling. That which does not give dies. That give what you want to receive. That's what one of my teachers emphasizes. Give that which you want to receive. I love learning. And that's why I love teaching. So if you can adopt these 7 mindsets, then you will set up a very solid ground to keep leveraging and maximizing your potential as a genius. Willie says you learn by everything you see and from everyone you meet. And I should also add, if you are paying attention, because I believe sometimes God brings certain people and certain experiences to teach us and we do not pay attention. One of my teachers talks about life curriculum, and the life curriculum in different segments of our lives, I believe it's by the Kansases, George Kansas and his wife. I just need to is she Nancy? Okay, just know they are Kansases. And Kansases and KNSS. They introduced me to the idea of life curriculum, in that we have, life brings lessons to us and it's your life curriculum. Now, when you pay attention, you advance to the next segment. If you don't pay attention, then you repeat the class. Just the same way in the education system, if you do not pay attention, then you're bound to repeat the class. Hence, you go through the same experiences until you learn and wake up. And then once you wake up, boom, you go to the next level. So it's true, you learn by everything you see and from everyone you meet, if you are paying attention and taking appropriate action, or remedial action, or proactive action, and taking lessons and insights. Let's talk about strategies of genius. Strategies used by geniuses. Here are some of the strategies. This we had hinted on about it, I'll go a little deeper. Curiosity about life. They develop an urge to know stuff about life. Read from many disciplines and exercises, and exercise your brain. Astronomy, philosophy, spirituality, social sciences, among others. So one of the things I would encourage you to think about, if your background is sciences, as an example, explore the arts. If your background is arts, explore the sciences. And that's something I feel I've not explored so much into the scientific field. I feel I can do much more. Because genius operates from interconnectedness. If you look at the geniuses of the olden times, you will discover that they had interests in multi-disciplines, in several disciplines. It wasn't just focus on one thing. They had an interest in several disciplines, and that's part of, because you see, the way the brain works is, someone said that a mind exposed to an idea never returns to the same level it was before. I'm paraphrasing, and you need to remember the exact wording. So meaning, if you expose yourself to an idea, let's just think, I know it's not an exact illustration of what it is, but let's just suppose that your brain expands. But remember, it works in terms of neurons. So the way the brain works, if you expose it to something, then certain neurons in your brain are fired off. So those which were dormant before, they get fired off. So let's just suppose there's a potential of 1 trillion. Let's just be simple. Of course, there are trillions. Let's just suppose it's a billion. It's a potential billion neurons. So if you just focus it on one subject, then you're firing off 100 million. So meaning, if you engage in another activity, another new knowledge, then you engage another 10 million, then another 50 million. Then before you know it, then the whole, or as much as possible, or let's say 800 million of neurons are fired off. Again, I'm using it as an illustration. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're just going through the same. The brain is not growing or expanding. It's just like having a whole bush out there and there's a path. Just because you're walking through the same path day in, day out, does not clear the grass in other parts of that bush. It's just the same path. That's why there's a saying that you may not have 77 years of work experience. You may be having 1 year or 10 years of experience, or possibly 1 year's experience repeated 77 times. So if you really want expansive experiences, then you have to keep expanding different aspects of your life. That's why some of the people I admire is like one of my good friends. He's super successful as an employee. He's a very successful executive, in one of the African countries. And he also so very successful in business. So I'm like, wow, you're able to be employed, deliver at work, you're able to deliver in business. So his brain capacity of thinking is so much superior because he has explored all these aspects. But what you may not know about him also is the fact that he has explored so many subjects, has so many different qualifications, not qualification for the sake of just acquiring knowledge, but qualifications to enable him to do things. Also, the other strategy is being process-based. So you learn and master the processes and the results will soon follow. Craft processes and systems. Use models and specific frameworks in your work. These will ensure consistent results. And every endeavor, every area of your life has a particular process. Because my strength is not in things to do with processes and project work and all that, but this is what I know, that input always influences output or impacts output. If you use the wrong process, most likely you'll get a wrong outcome or product. I don't like cooking, at least my wife knows that. But I will tell you, at least I know how to do basic meals. But I will tell you something. If you put onions, or if you put onions just before serving the food, then those onions are going to be raw. If your intention was that they are properly cooked and prepared, then you have to put them earlier. So you have to use the right process to get a particular outcome. Therefore, part of your job or part of the strategy is to ask yourself, okay, for these fellows who produce this outcome, what is the process they go through? So just like what I was talking about earlier of people controlling and managing people who make noise when they are entering, what is the process they go through? Well, there is click a certain button. And we did not choose that particular button. Therefore, we had many instances of interruption. We did not follow the right process of managing participants, period. So you just have to find what those processes are and deploy them accordingly. The other strategy is you do, you act, you move. Get out of the thinking mode and act more. Implement. Fail as fast as possible. Learn. Get up and take action again. Geniuses are doers. One of the biggest complaints from my coach is he keeps saying these days he doesn't raise it as much because I've improved. I'm not yet there, but I've improved a lot. He kept saying, Ethan, you overthink. Overthinking can be very, very costly. That doesn't mean that there isn't space for thinking. Or I'm saying that there is that time when you must move. You think enough, move. You feel you have enough options or you have enough information to make a decision, move. You cannot stay in thinking mode forever. Now, is it what? Paralysis by analysis? Yeah, if you overanalyze things, then you get paralyzed. And sometimes actually knowing too much can be paralyzing. I'll give you an example. So today, my my daughter was struggling, not struggling. I had her crying, didn't want to get out of the mosquito net, to get out of bed in the morning. So I had to find out how come. Said, you see, I saw a bumblebee. Said, but it's just a bumblebee. Said, but mommy told me it can sting. Like, yeah, to the sting, you know, whatever that sting is very small and it won't. Say, but you see, our neighbors, there's a neighboring girl, you know, she got stung, and yeah, I'm like that. But then she, isn't she fine? I mean, did she die? It's just a sting, just a little. Hey, but it can swell. I say, yeah, just like a mosquito, it bites you and then it swells and then the swell goes. So it's not a big deal. So she had heard that it stings. Then she saw the neighboring friend who got stung by a bumblebee. So that information paralyzed her. Now, looking back, I don't know about you, but I didn't even know the name bumblebee when I was growing up. And you just move about. No one, you didn't get those briefs of the thing, but you just move. If it bites, you deal with it. But sometimes when you have too much information, it can be paralyzing, because you are overanalyzing. What if this? What if this? What if? And that's why she was, what if this? What if? What if? And she thinks at that level, what if this? What if? What if? What if that? Anyway, finally convinced her, and she got out of bed, and I pray that she overcomes that phobia. The point I'm saying is, in one aspect, too much information can be useful. In another context, it can actually be a challenge. It can be a challenge, because then you get held back. So then the other mindset is you practicing the idea of thinking time. You know, you need to block off some time to think. You pause your life and get lost into a world of imagination. Take time off to question life, to ask questions. Yeah, so that's why I was saying there's a time to move, but then there's also a time to think. So you imagine ideas, you ponder, you think about these things. I've noticed that I need to get moving. Next is geniuses force relationship. Identify talent that you need to work with. So when you talk about genius, you cannot do everything by yourself. You need to think about the kind of talent you need around you that will help you to move forward. Because if you don't have that talent around you, it's going to limit you, how far you can go and how far you can stretch. So what kind of talent do you need? And I usually like talent that will challenge you, that will push you. People with different talents compared to who you are. Then in terms of the learning strategy, this is one of the most powerful ones, is you find someone who is living the life you want, who has created the results that you want, and then learn from them, emulate them, challenge them. You see, you have to be keen to learn, to pick lessons from people who have lived the life or who have produced the results that you want, because they have lived, they have gone through the mistakes, they know where the ropes are, they know where the holes are, they know where the opportunities are. So like right now, based on the knowledge that I have now, instead of taking, because full-time now, I've been in this work for many years, I will tell you, if I had the right information, if I had gotten the right teachers and the right mentors from the word go, what I've achieved as of now, I would have shaved off 10 years, period. And that's why I always believe in having teachers and mentors, because then it can shave off so much time. So pick those people, learn from them, ask them questions. What inspired you? What challenges do you face? What are the shortcuts? What do you read? What do you listen to? What do you watch? What processes do you take? What are the things which things do I need to avoid? Then it will short circuit that long journey you would have otherwise taken. So something that would have taken you 10 years, it takes you 3 years. That's the magic. So let's talk about the skill set for genius. And I like this simple model. It's easily understandable, the model for genius. Number one, genius starts with purpose. Again, I will have to keep referring you to, it's one of the first segments I held, purpose. You know, to tap into genius, you really have to get into a frame of purpose. What's your purpose on planet Earth? And once that purpose is clear, that becomes your ultimate fuel. Because I'll tell you, there are days when I'm not feeling myself, or not feeling at my best. But you know, the moment I see people and I'm scheduled to speak, whether online or offline, healing appears, energy appears. You're seeing me laughing and all this today, but the truth is I wasn't feeling at my best today. But guess what? I'm feeling much better now. Why? Because I'm living my purpose. So that's the core, because the truth of the matter is there usually you'll find detours, challenges, or question marks and doubts and all this. But when your purpose is clear, that becomes your guiding light. That becomes, you're like, no matter what, I know I haven't arrived. The light is there, I'm heading there. But when you cannot see the light in the dark, then you sit, say, no, what, I'll wait. No, but so there has to be that clarity of where you're headed and why you're here and why you're doing something at a bigger level, at a macro level, and also at a micro level. So please figure out what that purpose is. And I'm not going to go into how to do it because I did a program on that in this series, so you should be able to access it. And then not only is it about purpose, but passion. Because when you are passionate, you see, passion is that emotion you feel, it's that desire, it's that, and that energy has a quality to it. People will feel it, people will sense it, people will engage with you. They will, today I received an email from someone talking about how they even feel goosebumps sometimes when I'm doing these sessions. And that's the key right there. It's the passion. Because of the passion you sometimes see me using on the screen, then you feel that also. So when you're passionate about something, people will be drawn to that energy. Then they will want to support your idea. Then they will know that you're genuinely into something. You're not just there just for the sake of it, just for the sake of money or all that. No, they feel that, and then they are drawn to that. And that means that if you really, really want to tap into your genius, then ultimately, definitely, absolutely focus your energies as much as possible to things you're passionate about. Because if it's things you hate, the energy will be low, the words will be discouraging, you won't be able to stay long. Because I told you that one of the keys to genius is staying longer, is that total commitment. It's much, much easier to commit to something that you're passionate about. So this game, I've been on it for over 20 years from the time I caught the vision, which was in 1998. That's when I caught the vision, when I was still a university student. I've not left that path. I'm still on the path. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm making mistakes. I fall down. Sometimes I'm discouraged. Sometimes I get hit, the storms I was talking about. Sometimes I even question myself a bit in some of the decisions I'm making, but I've never questioned whether I'm on the right path, and I've never questioned my love for the work that I'm doing. So these two are spot on. But I'm telling you, these two are twin forces that will keep you going when things are tough. And then they'll make you fly when things are going well. When you're down, they'll make you wake up. When you're up, they'll make you run. And when you're running, they'll make you sprint. So genius is not some kind of oil, special oil that you drink or smear on your face. This is internal stuff. This is spiritual stuff. Purpose, passion, they are inner. You don't learn, it's not something that you buy from the supermarket. I wish there was a way to buy purpose and passion. Give me 2 peas, please. 10 pounds of purpose and 10 pounds of passion. Yay, and you run. Not there. It has to be inner. The next is you have to tap into imagination. You think wild. You go far. You go further. You don't stop at what is. Start asking, you keep asking your questions. You think, you go deep. You go deep. Next is inquiry. Inquiry, you ask questions. Geniuses never stop asking questions. You ask the tough questions. How about this? What if we do this? How about if we remove this? What happens if we delete this? You don't stop asking questions. And one of the things I would encourage you to think about, because some of the people I coach who are short on confidence and self-esteem, they say, okay, but I don't want to appear stupid. Well, if you don't want to appear stupid, then you are denying yourself also for an opportunity to appear intelligent. You're denying the opportunity to demonstrate your genius. So you have to be willing to take the risk to appear stupid such that you can demonstrate your genius and intelligence. And in Chinese, there is a saying, in China, there is a Chinese saying that the only stupid question is the one that you do not ask. I love that mindset. So the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. The one you ask can never be stupid. Why? Because by the time you ask, it means you don't know. If you don't know something and you ask, it means you are learning. And sometimes out of those so-called stupid questions, that's where the true genius appears. So you have to be a merchant of inquiry. Some people say inquiry. But for me, I was trying to say inquiry. I imagine that is Ugandan English or something. You inquire. Next is you need a team around. I keep referring to an event like this. I'm not alone. I have a team that is supporting me that I'm grateful for. And you're part of the team, you who's listening or watching. Anyone, so I used to hear this word self-made, and someone really challenged that notion. I landed on an article and said, no, this idea of self-made is absolutely inaccurate. There's no person who is self-made. Self-driven, yes. Self-made, no. How can you say self-made when you had someone to change your diapers? How? There's always someone somewhere supporting you, either directly or indirectly. No one is self-made. So therefore, you have to tap into the idea of knowing that you need help. Saying that you need help is not weakness, it is strength. It is smartness. You look for a team that you feel can help you deliver this. So that means one of the skills you definitely need are team building skills. And I held a whole training on this, so that should be fun. So you need to learn to relate with teams. On the inquiry, you need to ask the right questions. You need to move from what's wrong to what's possible. As an example, that's an art, that's a skill you have to learn. You need to learn to relate to people so that they can be inspired to follow your dream and be in the same boat. Not only in the same boat, but rowing in the same direction. Because you see, you can be in the same boat. Some people are rowing backwards, others are rowing backwards, so you keep circling around. Some teams don't move forward because some people are rowing backwards, others forwards. So you need to learn the art of getting everyone on board and to move forward. That's one of the core skills, and we talked about that. Then there's wondering. Wondering might wonder how is it related to, is it different from imagination? So imagination, you go deep inside. Wondering, you go out there. You go out there, way away from your topics, way away from your expertise, way away from your friends. You explore. Because through wondering that then you might bump into interesting breakthroughs. There are even books now being written about the value of generalities, people who are generalists. Sooner rather than later, we'll have a world dominated by generalists. Now, that doesn't take anything away from the value of expertise. So there's that one thing.
There's no place you can even put it.
But at the same time, you need to think.
And at the end of the day, there was this place in that bag.
Other options of wandering to other aspects of life. So you need to always ask yourself, what are those things that I need to do? And then you wonder, you keep wandering far and wide. You move away from where you were before.
It's two people they used to put in front. So he only sat.
And of course, the final piece in the puzzle is action. Action! When we were young, when I was a teenager, we used to love action movies to the point where guys would hit each other and then we would even make noise. Yeah, yeah, yo, 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 yeah, yeah. Action. Would even make, then those were called what? Video halls. Yeah, video halls. We'd go to video halls and make noise after saving money for a month to attend to that movie. So action. So you move from purpose, you go through all these steps to action here. And this has to be purposeful action towards a particular direction. And you don't just act, you keep evaluating your actions also. All right. Same question. So the question around wonder, the difference between wonder and imagination. So imagination, you're going deep inside in your mind and you visualize, you anticipate, you create things in your brain, or you imagine what the future could be. That's based on your own deeper reflection, personal reflection and imagination. So you're looking at the resources that you have within you to think and explore and project what the future could be. Now with wondering, you now switch off and you go out there. So for example, like you, Justine, I mean, you have a PhD in this aspect of environment. So wondering means you go and talk to engineers, read about philosophy, read about literature, read history, you explore construction, you explore internet marketing, you explore writing. Of course, writing can be anywhere, but you look at all different, chicken rearing, not just tree rearing, but chicken rearing. So you explore, because when you switch off, then you start. Then it's from after switching off that you get these interconnections. That's why sometimes breakthroughs come when you've just woken up in the morning, because you had switched off. Now you were dreaming, you are in another world. Now when you come back to your world, then you have new breakthroughs. Okay. I like what Gershom has put here, that do, act, and move. Every genius has to be dumb. So then for mastery, this is what we need to do, or what we're going to do. Use diagrams and images to visualize challenges and their solutions and implement these solutions. So what you do is when you look at geniuses, part of the game, part of their core game is when they have a challenge or a complex, it doesn't have to be complex, it can be of any size, then they use imagery, they visualize the possible solutions, and then they implement those solutions. That's how they grow. So meaning part of your challenge now to tap into your genius is because part of some of these challenges we may be having, those are opportunities again for us to grow and tap into our imagination and our creativity. So that's going to be your task. If you look at the challenge that you have, then create images, visualize the possible solutions, and implement those solutions along the way, in the course of your journey, of your genius journey. Okay. Your breakout rooms, you're going to discover what did you find most useful in this presentation and how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business. So that's what you're going to discuss in your breakout rooms. And if you're watching the recording, of course, you pause and do so. Reflect in your notebook.